All right, I'm real excited about this one for any number of reasons, and it may get a little contentious. I just have to say that out of the gate. Either way, though, I feel like his great playing career is getting a little overshadowed at this point. I mean, he's a Pro Bowler, he's a Super Bowl champion, but all anybody talks about is Ryan Clark buzzing about all things NFL on ESPN, NFL Live. You see him on Monday Night Football, and the pivot is dynamite stuff, and
Thank
a
you.
real good tee up for college football fans right now with Marcus Freeman. Make sure you dig in on that. Really fascinating, big range of conversation. It gets pretty deep and gets very funny as well. Make sure you're checking out the pivot. I'm talking, of course, about, I would say, one of my two favorite Pittsburgh Steelers as a grown-up.
Whoa.
It's Ryan Clark. How are you, fella?
Man, good. How you doing? Listen, that's a big deal. I was having the conversation with somebody about that the other day, about how being a Pittsburgh Steeler keeps you so humble. You know, like you can accomplish some cool things, and you can play good ball. People can think that you're a good football player, win a Super Bowl, be a Pro Bowler, and then you walk in the hall and Mel Blount was there, or Joe Green was there, or God rest his soul, Franco Harris is there. And then you realize, like, wait, I haven't done a damn thing, right? You think about all the greats, all the Hall of Famers, all the people that really laid the foundation for what Steeler Nation truly is, and getting to see them all the time, getting to talk to them, touch them, Joe Green walking the hallways, man, it truly is just a different organization, and it allowed you to really have respect for the people that came before you and truly laid the foundation.
Boy, rich stuff. I can't wait to talk about this current edition of the Pittsburgh Steelers in just a second. And we were talking before you joined, Ryan. I was introducing a couple of people here behind the glass who hadn't seen or didn't remember your collision with Willis McGahee. I still hold it up. I know we've talked about it a million times before, but it is perhaps the signature moment of the greatest rivalry this millennium. Is after Troy Polamalu houses the ball to send you guys to the Steelers, you turned out Willis McGahee's lights. I've said it before. You were Balboa. He was Creed at the end of Rocky 2. You barely got to your feet at the 9 count. He didn't get up. It's all over. The Steelers are heading to the Super Bowl.
One of my best friends called me after, and he used to call me PI for some reason. Like it went through this whole thing, but he started calling me Private Ryan. He's like, Private Ryan, you won. He's like, you got up first. That means you won. And I think back to that, though, it actually wasn't very intelligent to even do it, because we were going to win the game. You know what I mean? Like I couldn't even really celebrate the win in the way I was supposed to, because I wasn't even all there. But I think it's those moments, man, that keep us all so tight. I got to see Max, Kiesel, B-Mac when I went back to training camp. And when you go through those sorts of things with people, the connection and the connectivity between you guys lasts forever. Like it truly is a brotherhood, which is a overused word, I think, when we talk about sports. But in Pittsburgh, it was different.
Oh, you're gonna drag me in, RC, into talking about the night before Super Bowl 43, and you guys, all the defense stayed up all night and all the rest of it. And then number 7 saved the day, didn't he? He saved the day with that last drive. We'll get to the current Steelers in just a minute. I hate to do this, but you did it to yourself, really. I didn't do it. A few weeks back, flipping through summertime, social media, and Ryan Clark, he announces, okay, people are doing picnics and whatever this time. I'm not a coleslaw fan. You're not going to hear Dave Damashek go for anything mayo, specific kind of thing. I'm not gonna stick my neck out and try and defend mayo.
Yeah,
that's okay, right? So you're not a mayo fan, right?
But here's the thing: I like mayonnaise on a sandwich.
Coleslaw, not mayo.
A light
don't like
spread
coleslaw.
of it. Yeah, coleslaw's terrible.
Okay.
Like coleslaw is actually a useless food. It is one of the most unnecessary things that anyone has ever thought to themselves, let me cook this and use this. And the fact that people put it on other things that could otherwise be good if you wouldn't put coleslaw on it, to just ruin it, I just think like there are certain things that just shouldn't be. And I don't know if somebody was bored when they made coleslaw. I don't know if they just didn't have enough money to go find some food that should be edible and just threw some things together. But yeah, I have tried to eat coleslaw once, and I never will again.
Well, like, yeah, we don't need the NFL's new rivalries uniforms. We don't need those. We don't need the Anaheim Ducks. I agree. There are things that exist that.
How did the Anaheim Ducks catch a stray?
Well, we don't need them. I mean, it's in Southern California. We need 2 NHL teams. Come on. Now, listen to the matter at hand. Coleslaw, that's fine. You don't want to like it. That's your business. But then your fancy friends, Scott Van Pelt and Dan Orlovsky start jumping in and attacking Primanti's and saying that they don't like the coleslaw on Primanti's. Okay.
That's crazy.
I felt like this is what I wanted to get to. I felt like you maybe got caught up with your fancy friends and like, yeah, you're right, SVP. Oh, Dano, so smart once again. And I was like, what is Ryan Clark coming down on the coleslaw, on the Primanti? Because you understand, it's not the mayo based. It's the nice vinegar based. It's like an Asian slaw.
Dave Demishek, I'm going to share something on your show that I should probably be embarrassed to share.
Oh, no.
Of the Clark household, there's only one Clark that lived in Pittsburgh for 8 years and never ate at Primanti Brothers.
Oh, my goodness.
And that would be me.
Oh, 25. Okay. Bottom line is, I want to give you a chance. I mean, now you owe 2 apologies to everybody on the banks of the 3 rivers. Okay, it was a bad day for you.
Yes.
Yeah, and a bad 8 years. Somehow you didn't have that. Okay, see, this what I'm calling it though. Going forward is Coleslawgate. That's I mean that's what it is. Slaughtergate.
So here's the thing, Dave. We have a Monday night game there this year. The hotel we stayed in is walking distance from Primanti's.
Yes,
actually, I have a picture in Primanti's from last year. I just went in there to take pictures before the game because the line was too long and I didn't want to cut people. I will, when I get in town on Sunday, have a Primanti Brothers sandwich, and I will give the world sort of my review of how excellent that sandwich is.
Me, you, and your new friend Aaron Rodgers, the 3 of us go over there. I'm sure he's never had it either. First, though, before we talk about
I'm gonna say this, that there's a lot of people who I felt like were excited to see me in camp. And then there was one, and it's cool though. Like it strangely enough made me respect him. That, you know, I hit Bert up because we were coming to campus, right? And I was like, look, and I can say it here, like I have nothing against dude, like, you know, he's fine. And I was like, man, I'd love to sit with him. I was like, you know, I'm part of the history there. He's the quarterback with our team now. I actually don't dislike him. You know, like I want to sit with him, welcome him to Steeler Nation, and just kind of have a conversation. I didn't want to have a conversation about that. I wanted to talk about his career. I said over and over again, he's the best quarterback I ever played against. He declined. I think he had other things to do, which I respected. But when we're pulling up to campus, right, he's talking to Arthur Smith. Like when we're going up the hill. And so I'm like, well, like for me, if I truly don't have an issue with you, I'm going to speak to you. Like I'm going to say hello. Like it's rude not to, in my opinion, you know? And so he was talking to Arthur Smith. I talked to some of the guys I see coming from like, I think special teams meeting. I roll the window down. I was like, what's up, guys? You know, Arthur Smith kind of speaks. Aaron Rodgers looks at me and he doesn't say anything. You know, and but I respected it because he was like, I'm not going to be fake, you know, for whatever he feels or whatever it is. He's like, that's not someone that I fool with in that way. And I'm not going to fake it. And I think it set the tone that, hey, you and I don't talk. You know what I'm saying? And so when I was on the field, like I had to say nothing to him. He didn't say anything to me. But I did get a good chuckle out of it. You know, Channing thought it was funny. Fred thought it was funny. They was like, damn, man, he ain't even acknowledge it. And I was like, you know, that's better than it being an issue.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of appreciate being his genuine self, I suppose. Yeah. And by the way, I also respect it because I'm a chip on the shoulder kind of guy too. And Kobe was that guy too. Like he remembered oh, you said bad about me, and now,
Yeah.
Peyton Manning was there is a percentage of guys. Everybody loves to say, oh, I don't hear what people say on social media, and then there are a few guys who do, and then they holster it and they hold on to it for the rest of their lives. I kind of respect it. Okay, let's talk about Tomlin then and what he's going to be, and Aaron Rodgers, the swap essentially for Justin Fields, trading places between the start of last season and this season. First question I wonder is if Aaron Rodgers will carry the American flag out onto that field again like he did 2 years ago. But more importantly, sincerely, what happens if the Steelers lose to Justin Fields and the Jets in week 1? I think that this is a massive game to start the season, and I really don't know where they go from there if they were to do it.
I think this team needs to start fast, period, though. Right? Like there's always going to be questions about Mike Tomlin's teams and the lack of success in the playoffs. You're going to have that. And we've also seen sort of this trend of this team starting hot, starting fast, and then tailing off toward the end of the season. If you were unable to sign Justin Fields, if you held out in the draft because you knew Aaron Rodgers was joining the team in minicamp and it doesn't work early, you lose to the team that now has the quarterback who you essentially benched last year for Russell Wilson, then I think the chatter does start. But I just don't, like, to where I am, like, I just don't feel that there is a win for Aaron Rodgers and Mike Tomlin and the Pittsburgh Steelers in the sense of the entire season. If this team doesn't make it to the AFC Championship, there are going to be people that say this is a failure. Right? If this team doesn't win a wild card game, it's going to be difficult to win the AFC North as stacked as Baltimore is. There's going to be a ton of negativity surrounding this team whenever there's a loss, whenever there's a setback, whenever Aaron Rodgers doesn't play well, if there ever seems like dissension between coach and player. And so I think they're going to be one of the most highly or more highly scrutinized team in the league. But if you lose that game, at least Pittsburgh-centric, the sky will be falling.
I mean, yeah, I think it is. I know I'm talking what sounds like hyperbole. I really don't know where they go from there because the fallout will be so bad by Monday morning in Pittsburgh for what that matters. Let's talk. I
think it'll be good for them though. If they lose, it's never good to lose a game, right? But that will show them exactly what Aaron Rodgers, Mike Tomlin leadership looks like. You understand what I'm saying? Like what Aaron Rodgers shows up to the post-game press conference. How does he protect his teammates? How does he protect Arthur Smith? How does he show from a leadership standpoint the sort of ownership that says, hey guys, this one was on me. I have to be better. Because Aaron Rodgers has that cachet, Dave. Right? If Aaron Rodgers says this one is on me, that ain't going to stop how quickly this tailor puts together this gold jacket he gets in 5 years after he retires. And so if he could show some of those things in a loss, I think that goes a long way for that team who could find ways to win games. They're going to be great defensively. And I watched him throw a football and let me really recalibrate. Let me think about this. He threw some footballs that were the best footballs I ever saw thrown on those fields.
Wow. In 2025. And it's funny because whatever it's been now, 15 years, I remember talking to you and to Ike Taylor and to Troy Polamalu individually. Not, you guys weren't agreeing with each other. These were separate conversations. And each of you said the same thing. The fastballs that he threw against you in Super Bowl 45, your reactions were all like, whoa, how did that ball get by me? I thought I had a beat on it. It's striking that you say that 15 years later, but now we're at this place where the name brand of Rodgers is probably outstrips the talent that's going to be out there, his ability with his legs and otherwise. It's not the whip, it's the legs that concern me with Rodgers at this age. But let's talk about Coach T here. And, the Pivot does as good a job as any show out there this millennium of sort of getting under the helmet, as they say, and making the football players and all the people you talk to three-dimensional human beings. And so you're keen on making that connection. And with Mike Tomlin, I feel like my sense is from a distance is that for all of his admirers and for Cam Hayward, who, will say, Mike Tomlin's the best, and Aaron Rodgers, I want to be with I want to be with Mike Tomlin because he's as good as it gets and all of that. It feels like the compliments that he gets from his players and otherwise are more about like he looks you in the eye when he tells you bad news. He respects you. He tells you what's going on, even if it's not something you want to hear, and all of that kind of stuff, which is great and admirable. But is he at this point in 2025 a ball knower on the level of Andy Reid and KOC and all those guys? I'm a little concerned about he's a defensive mind in the age of quarterbacks or superheroes.
Yeah, but I think it's disrespectful to not include Mike Tomlin in the ball knower category with guys like KOC who ain't been to an
totally
NFC
fair,
championship.
Totally fair. But do you know what I mean
like
about offense versus defense?
Yeah, like that's
mindset.
Yeah, like I just think that's a disrespectful even comparison, right? Because what you're essentially saying that is if you don't know offense, you don't know football, right? Because you mentioned KOC, like this is a quarterback sort of driven league now, right? And I don't know that it's not always been that. I think because of the rule changes, it's become more of that you gotta have that guy. But you know what also makes you look really smart offensively? If you just get a really good football player.
Well, right. Is it? I mean, it's not a fluky coincidence that the teams that are always in the postseason happen to.
Yeah, and don't get me wrong though. Like, no disrespect to KOC, Josh Dobbs played good for 2 weeks. We've seen Nick Mullins play good for a week. Kirk Cousins had career years there. Sam Darnold is revitalized there. So I'm in no way taking away from what he can do offensively. That's just not where ball lies. I think. And I pose this question very often, right? You go back to the Killer Bees team, right? And when I look at the Killer Bees, like that's the first time I go, or that's the one moment I'm like, Coach T, he underachieved there, right? That team had the talent. Like Jacksonville's not supposed to walk into Pittsburgh as good as they were on defense. They're not supposed to walk into Pittsburgh and win that game, which people don't remember. If not for a missed call on Miles Jack, that team might go to the Super Bowl and beat New England, which Tom Brady says was a bad call. But then I look at some of these other teams, and I've talked to players that go, those other teams actually weren't that good. Those teams shouldn't have been playoff teams, right? And so where we hold Mike Tomlin to this higher standard because of where he coaches, because of how quickly he won a championship. I think some of the teams that he has coached has overachieved. And so he's definitely an extreme ball knower, if that's the word we're using. He has an infinite amount of football intellect built on wisdom and experience, and also football intellect built on knowledge. I just think you got to be your best as a team when it's most important. And the thing that scares you, right, or the thing that starts this conversation is in the playoffs, when everything is dialed up a little bit, how do the teams play so badly? How do you play so far away from what we saw during the season? And that's something he has to answer for. That's something that he has to reckon with. But to say that Coach Tomlin isn't as intelligent as these other coaches, I would be disingenuous to agree with that from this standpoint. We never won a game in a way he said we couldn't win it, or in a way he said, or in a way that wasn't congruent with how he said we can win it, and we never lost one that way either. If we lost it, we knew how we could lose it. If we won it, we knew how we could win it. And when we went into the film room, it was never, Coach T didn't tell us that. I wasn't prepared for that. I didn't think that was the way I could lose it. I never thought to myself, I didn't think that this play would work. I didn't think that this coverage was a good coverage, because I knew going into the game it was.
Well, listen, I'm not trying to be glib about Mike Tomlin. I was being cute with, is he a ball knower? I guess what I'm talking about is philosophically the approach to winning games 12-11 in the age of the QB is is at least a distinct way to win games. Right now, but I think the
other key is though
certainly right.
Yeah, I think the other thing we have to pay attention to too, Dave, is one of, in my opinion, the other best coaches of this era was a special teams coach. And he coaches in Baltimore.
Right. That's interesting. Right.
I think I could give you a hint of why his team's really good now. If you like some help.
That coincidence that we were just talking about there. So that transitioned us to here. By the way, I think Coach T's good pal McDonough, I think is kind of, he's obviously propped up by Josh Allen, and you've talked about this. McDermott. I said McDonough. Yeah. McDermott. I talked to your pal Mina Kimes about this, and now I bring it. I bring the same thing to you. Now you know that she can get distracted by the analytics and say, like, we can't put too much weight on these limited sample sizes that are the playoffs, these big spot games. I contend that we're ignoring shared reality if Josh Allen and Lamar Jackson don't need to get a Lombardi to be held up on the very short list of all-time greats. How say you, and which one do you think ultimately will, or do you think both of them will break through, or will neither ever get that Lombardi trophy?
I mean, to say neither one of those dudes wins a Lombardi would seem almost delusional. But
they're getting there. They're getting towards 30, both of them.
But it's possible. Dan Marino, who was obviously extremely good very early, had an opportunity early, didn't have that opportunity again. And it wasn't that he couldn't play. Jim Kelly goes to 4, doesn't win 1. Warren Moon never wins a Super Bowl. And so, yeah, it's possible. I think it also is made possible by the fact that the greatest quarterback of this era plays in the same conference. Right. And you can't say that when Josh played, I think it was 2021?
The 13-second game.
Divisional playoff game. Can't say Josh Allen didn't show up for that game, or Josh Allen didn't do what he was supposed to do on his end to get the Buffalo Bills into the AFC Championship. Patrick Mahomes just did more. And so I think there's always that piece of it. I believe that they both win a Super Bowl at some point. I think the Ravens right now on paper are the best team in football. I believe in the playoffs right now, I believe in Josh Allen more than I believe in Lamar Jackson. I do think after the 2 early turnovers last year to the Bills, that Lamar Jackson was the best player from that point on the rest of the game. I think if Mark Andrews catches that ball, we're maybe having a different conversation. But because Mark Andrews doesn't catch the ball, I have to pay attention to the sack that DeMar Hamlin makes, and you put the ball on the ground, it's picked up by Von Miller. I have to pay attention to the overthrow in the post corner that gives the football back to the Buffalo Bills. And so I believe they both have an opportunity to win it. I think one of them does for sure. I can't say that both of them win it because there's so many players that have to go through one another.
Yeah, the math doesn't work out. As long as they only give out 1 Lombardi at the end of every season, the math doesn't work out for Stroud and Herbert and Dak and everybody else.
Not even that. Like, you also, you have to go through the gauntlet of getting there in the AFC, but then you got to beat the other team who's probably gone through less than what you've gone through. You know what I mean? Like, if you win a Super Bowl and you're Lamar Jackson and you beat Josh Allen and Patrick Mahomes on the way there, it's like being Frank Dukes in the Kumite, and now you finally got to the championship in Bloodsport, and freaking boy's over there shaking his head like that. You know what I mean? Like, it's just difficult to win those games.
You don't have to tell me about Bloodsport, but yes. Okay, so as we transition, last question about movies, and that to me is why the playoffs are so great in the NFL versus 7-game series and all the other major sports is it's a little unfair, but the pressure that Lamar Jackson and Josh Allen surely feel out on that field of like, look at everything I've done. Now I got to make a play on this one. It is, they're human beings ultimately. And like I say, it almost, do you want to look at the 15 years of my career or that one play? Hey, fair or not, that's what people are going to look at. Okay, I said to you right as we got going here, I think you could successfully leave football talk and just focus on movies based on your off season. The last question is, because it seemed like you focused in on tearjerkers all through the off season. What is the saddest movie death Ryan Clark has ever seen?
Whoa, saddest.
I think I have the right answer.
Thomas J was tough.
Yeah.
Thomas J was a hard one.
Yeah.
And I'm forgetting his last name right now. But Augustus in Fault of Our Stars was a very that was a very difficult death for me to handle, simply because I had built myself up for an hour and a half to handle her death. Because she was like the sicker one. And then they took him from me. As a kid, the hardest was Ricky from Boys in the Hood.
That was a tough one. That was very sad. He had the whole world in front of him. He was about to be an SC superstar, be a tailback you, and it was all taken away from him.
Made the grades. Yeah, so, man, there's so many deaths, bro, that are just
well, let's start a movie show so we can deep dive this as our first subject there. But I do want to plant Apollo Creed. He showed up for an exhibition that night, and Drago had malintent, and I mean, manslaughter at least should be the charge. I know you watch Terms of Endearment. Deborah Winger's death was sad. I think the correct answer is Ellie in Up. That first 20 minutes.
Oh, that's tough.
That's the saddest thing. That you know. That's
a tough one. And he loved her so much.
Yeah.
So much.
Yeah.
You watch a lot of animated movies?
Well, of course, yeah. We had, the kids the last 18 years. I've watched primarily animated movies. So yeah.
Well, so about 4 years ago, I went on an animated movie tour as well. I just sat down and I turned on Disney and like for weeks just watched animated movies. That was a good ride. This off season was sad movies. I don't really know where this thing is going, but I do get a ton of my analysis from watching movies, because like the movies sort of relate to real life, which relate to football at times, so, maybe I'll pop in like once a month and we could just do movie talk. And
I don't care about it. There are plenty of people who, I know this about football. Like football is this team's going to win. No, that team's going to win. Movies require more depth. And I think, we should do that. Because
let's do it.
I find the dad in Frozen real problematic, the parents. So
I got to go back to that one. I haven't watched Frozen in a while.
Well, the one daughter shoots the other daughter in the heart with ice, and it almost kills her. And it's like, oh my God, what are we gonna do? One sibling on the other. What should we do? Like, let's take him to the troll and see what he thinks. Like, what? That's what that.
Hey, here's the thing. In animated world, parenting is a very difficult deal. You got to think about it. Fiona's father and mother knew she was an ogre by night, yet was mad when she came home with Shrek. Hey, it's just part of life.
You're right. Maybe the animated life is tougher than real life. Maybe.
Yeah, because common sense ain't a cartoon.
25, you're the best, man. You really are.
Dave, be good, man. Thank you so much.
Love seeing all your success out there, man. We still got to get you and Mina Kimes in a booth together. That's the dream for me. But love seeing all the success, man.
My man, thank you.
Happy for you. Thank you for the time. Good. Enjoy those Steelers.
Yes, sir.
There he goes, number 25, Ryan Clark, everybody.